Hey, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Dear Deja. I'm so excited to read this next letter to you, but before I get started, make sure you go and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. Go ahead and like the video and tune in because I want to hear all of the feedback from this next letter. So let's get started, all right? Dear Deja, I am the youngest of six children, and my mom is currently suffering with diabetes. She has had her foot amputated and her kidneys are failing. My siblings and I have done everything humanly possible to assist her in treating this disease, maintaining her health, and keeping her spirits up in the process. One of the ways she's been able to maintain her health is through this now popular drug called Ozempic. As you may know, Ozempic has been mentioned a lot lately due to its recent rise in popularity as an option for weight loss. I hate the people who use medicines designated for a disease to obtain speedy, aesthetically pleasing results. It's the easy way out. But not only is it the easy way out, but it's caused a limitation on the distribution of the medicine because so many people are using it. Most of my people know about my mother's health issue. Recently, one of my best friends shared with me that her recent drastic weight loss is because she's currently on the drug. That conversation didn't end well. We started arguing and eventually it got physical. I won't lie, I took it far. I knocked out her front tooth. Everybody's telling me I'm wrong, but I don't give a fuck. Tell me what you think. Sign Ozempic or off with your head. Wow. Okay. Let's try to give this person some feedback. Let me start off by saying, of course, make sure you have went and subscribed to the channel, you've liked the video, and tune in so we can give this feedback. What I will say is number one, happy holidays to all of my folks who just celebrated the holiday weekend. And more importantly, to this young lady who it seems as though, okay, I'm the youngest of six children, but she didn't say if it was a man or a woman. Okay, so I won't be able to tell who's writing this letter. So I'll call you OO. That's what I'll call you, OO, right? Let me say this. That incident was very unfortunate. That incident was very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate because according to you, that's your friend. And for it to go that far, especially for it to get physical, is even worse. Because sometimes in situations where things get physical, they're very hard to come back from. So I feel so bad that this escalated to this point. But let me see if I can try to give you a standpoint to work from in order for you guys to, I want to say, repair the relationship, because it seems like that's why you wrote the letter, because you kind of want to fix things, but we got to really work on what that looks like after you allegedly knocked her tooth out. Okay, so let me start here by saying I definitely want to keep your mom in prayer. I definitely want you to know that, she has all the prayers in the world on my end, from my family to yours, because diabetes is very serious and contingent upon where she is within a disease. It can take a toll on not only the person with it, but also their family and friends. So I'm keeping your mom uplifted in prayer. I have heard a bit about Ozempic, of course, coming from a family of obesity. Conversations have gotten had where Ozempic was brought up. I haven't seen a doctor that necessarily talked to me about it, but I have friends, I do know people who has gone through the process of utilizing it. I've heard good things, I heard bad things. I don't know because I didn't do much research on it. But I do know that there are folks out there using it, and I know some people are using it for weight loss, some people are using it for the disease. I'm not here to judge. I don't really know how that works. I don't even know how it gets. I don't know. So let me not speak on that piece of it. What I will say is this. It seems like because of your mom's situation that you guys are really stressed. You're really stressed. It's taking a toll on you, because who wants to hear or even know that their parent is sickly? That can take a huge toll on you, right? So let's start there. I think the reason why the situation escalated the way that it did is because A, you and that person have such a close relationship. B, because of your mom's illness and your feelings surrounding that. And C, because I think that there is something that you need that you felt like you weren't getting. And because that person wasn't able to give you what you need in those moments, which is support for what you're going through, as opposed to sharing with you what they have going on, it caused for this situation to escalate tremendously. Um, I'm going to say I'm never a fan of any situation getting physical, but definitely not a situation where folks involved have a close relationship. Because once again, like I said earlier, I don't know how much coming back from the physical piece you can do when you put your hands on a person. Because normally when you have a close relationship with a person, it's because you and that person have a respect and an understanding of one another that you don't have with many people in the world. And I know folks can feel like that understanding and that respect has gone down the drain once you taking it to the level of putting your hands on me. So I honestly can't say if I know if the person is willing to rekindle or forgive you for what took place, but I think that we do have some good standpoints to work from where you can kind of get this person to see the bigger picture and be a little bit more remorseful and compassionate. Number one on the list, I do get the part about folks are using the drug for other purposes when technically it's supposed to be utilized for the disease, right? But that's not your friend's fault. That's not your friend's fault, because I'm going to say something too. Obesity is also a disease, right? And it's also a very fatal one. I don't want to discard what your mom is going through as a diabetic, but I want to be very clear that obesity is also a disease and it's also one that can kill you. And I'm talking about it firsthand, right? Because I come from a family of obesity. I struggle with obesity. It can kill you. It can cause other health issues such as diabetes, and it can take your life. So most times I think folks are getting on Ozempic, and I hear there's something else called Wegovy and things like that, because I think they feel like this is my last chance of having a different leash on life, right? I don't want to die because I'm overweight. I don't want to have other health defects, and I don't feel like I could do it alone. So because of that, this is what I'm going to rely on, right? Sometimes doctors are sharing and prescribing it for patients as well, telling them that it's their best course of action. So your friend may have gotten this prescription from a doctor and didn't just kind of like say, well, hey, this is what I'm going to try to do because I don't feel like going to the gym. It may have been a conversation of your health may be at risk if you don't lose any weight. And since that person may or may not be able to do it on their own, here, I have an option for you. So let me also say that. I'm sorry I keep looking at my phone, guys, but I ordered Instacart and I'm trying to see if they're on their way, right? So anyway, yes, your friend may have, this may be a real issue for your friend too. Because I think what kind of happened, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I think in this situation you were a little selfish. You were a little selfish. I don't think you considered what this person was going through. And you just said, my life is in shambles right now. This is the reason, and you're part of it. Boom, bop, bam, slap, boom, bop. And I understand how things could escalate like that in your mind because you're so flustered with what you're going through. But I always share with people what you are growing through is not for the rest of the world to suffer because of. Right? So sometimes we have situations where we're hurt, we're broken, we're angry. And then we go into a crowded space. As soon as somebody says something wrong, we want to just dive on them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I get that you walked into this space hurt, angry, and broken, but I am not the cause of any of those things, and I don't feel like that should be taken out on me. And that's kind of what I feel like happened here. I feel like before we even get to your friend and her use of the drug, I think you're just frustrated and really, really hurt about what your mom is going through. And I could see how that could be scary for you because, again, a lot of things are taking place to make this disease take a turn for the worse, right? But I always tell people, my dear, where there's life, there's hope. Where there's life, there is hope. Where there is life, there is hope. And the fact that your mom is still alive and fighting means that she still has work down here to do. She still has work down here to do. And you and your siblings, because you said it's 6 of you guys are her angels to help her do so. You cannot help her do so from jail. right? And if your friend decides to press charges for you assaulting her, allegedly, that could be an issue for you. That could also cause a lot more stress to your mom and what she's going through, knowing that you're having this issue with your friend. So I think that even though you were flustered and this took place and it's already happened, I think that we can try to get you to a resolution where you and the young lady could at least be cordial if she's open to it, right? So I think that before we even get to her, the Ozempic or any of that, we have to speak about your pain surrounding your mother's illness. Growing through things with your parents as they age is tough. It's very, very tough. I'm talking again from first hand experience. It's tough. It's tough. It's very, very tough. It's tough to grow through things with your parents as they age because you have to remember, you know your parents from being the young, vibrant, make things happen, moving and grooving, moving and shaking, making it do what it do, doing everything for you, loving individual. But as parents age and things take a toll on them, especially the aging process, things start to happen. They start to develop illnesses and aches and pains that they've never had before. And you start to see them transform into another person right before your eyes. Right? And what I will say about that transformation is it's not easy and it's also painful because the reality starts to set in that, this could be a situation that could really break you. Right? And I don't know, this is making me emotional. I don't know if I want to continue with this letter because, like I said, I can speak to this firsthand. What I will say is this, right? Again, your mom is still here, your mom is still fighting, and your mom has all of you. So I think you have to put more of the focus on, like you said, making your mom happy, making your mom comfortable, and doing as much as you can to make her healthy while she's growing through this transitional phase. Because people do live with diabetes. People do live with diabetes. So this does not have to be the end all be all. People do live with diabetes. As far as her getting a hold of the medication, that's something that, of course, you have to take up with her doctor. I don't know, maybe if you want to get her a new primary care physician. I don't know if there's other options you could look into. Because like I said, I'm not familiar with the drug, so to speak, so I can't really tell you what to do, right? But I can say that maybe exploring all options health-wise for your mom with your siblings is what you should be focusing on right now. I also think maybe taking a step back from your social scene might also help you as well, because I feel like a lot of times when you're growing through things, right, and they're painful experiences, you're not your best self. You're not your best self. You're not in the best headspace. One or two things can happen with that, right? One is if you're around folks who understand what you're growing through, they could kind of sympathize and empathize with some of your behaviors that might show up as a result. Also, if you're around folks that are not growing through what you're growing through, and they may not have the same compassion or empathy for your behaviors, that could be a very detrimental situation. Case in point, what just happened with you and your friend. Right. And I think that it may have escalated to a heated point because once you got upset, of course she got upset. Because once you get upset, you start to be offensive and disrespectful. And now the other person is looking like, who the fuck you talking to, bitch? And now we're going at it. And it's very hard in those moments for you to pull yourself out of it, your friend, and say, oh, my friend is going through something. Let me just allow these behaviors because right now she's stressed. That's not the way she's seeing it. It's not her situation. So because of that, she's not going to have the same remorse for your actions and behaviors. Whereas if you're now spending more time with your mom and your siblings, they may be a little bit more empathetic to what you're going through. Also, you may be a little bit more lighthearted because they're going through the same thing. Right? So I think taking a step back from the social scene as a whole might work for you, because I think going around friends and people just trying to go on with their regular life because they don't have the same circumstances as you, that might become a lot for you because you are so stressed about what's taking place in your personal life. And I always tell people, it's always good to take a mental and physical break. It's always good to take a mental or physical break, because in doing so, you can kind of remove yourself and focus on yourself. When you are in a space where you're always around people physically and you're always listening to people and you always have conversations and you're always engulfed in something, it can take a toll on you because you never get enough time to stop hearing those voices and do what's best for you. So I think removing yourself from the social scene for a little while you're dealing with your mom's illness and until things get a little better might be what's best for you, because you don't want to continue going around displaying these behaviors just because of what you are going through. Right? So that might be step one. Step two is you have to apologize. You have to apologize. You have to apologize, because at the end of the day, if you value what you guys shared, not even after the moment you hit her, not even when you found out she was taking the Ozempic, right? Prior to that, if you value what you guys had, then I think you need to apologize, because what ended up happening was you jeopardized what y'all had in a moment of blind fury because of your situation. Just because of that moment, that doesn't cancel out all of the rest of what y'all shared prior to that. Right? So I think you need to apologize. I think you need to apologize. Remember, let me say something about the advice I'm giving you. I'm only giving you advice from a snapshot of what I got of the story, which is your letter. Because there may be other backstory that you probably would share with me in a Healing Hearts one-on-one session about you guys' friendship that caused you to knock her tooth out. Let me say something about that. Because you did not share that in the letter, I cannot give you feedback from that standpoint. So I don't want you to look at this video and say, okay, well, I asked Khadijah about that, and she telling me to apologize to this bitch, but she don't know what she did back in 88, 92, and 68. Listen, I don't know those things because you didn't share them in your letter, right? So the advice I'm giving right now is just off of the snapshot you've given me in your letter. Okay, so let me get my disclaimer there, because I know sometimes that's been happening lately where people have said, well, thank you for the feedback, but I don't know if I necessarily can do what you said because, and then they start to give me a whole bunch of backstory. And then I start to tell them, you need to come in for a one-on-one session because you only gave me a tidbit of information when I needed all of the information to properly be able to assist you. Okay, so now let me get back to the feedback I'm giving from the letter. I have to be fair here, right? So now I think you need to apologize. And I think once you apologize, you have to be prepared for it to not always work in your favor. And I'm not saying that to derail you. I'm not saying that to make you feel no way. I'm saying that just to be honest with you. You know, sometimes when you go too far with people, it doesn't matter if y'all have a relationship or not, you may not be able to come back from that sometimes. It's the consequence of the actions, right? So what I will say to you is when you go to share and you go to apologize, you have to also be prepared to receive something that's not in your best interest. Because now that person's behaviors may not be up to par and they may not be themselves because of what transpired between y'all two. Excuse me. So what I'm saying to you is I think you should apologize. But keep in mind that it may not be it may not be received warmly. Okay? Okay. Two, about apologizing, I think it has to come with an explanation. Because in this letter, you didn't say to me that you guys started arguing or you guys have been arguing over a course of time about this, or you have been sharing how your mom has been trying to get this medication. No, it just seemed like once she shared what she shared, you were so pissed because of what you already knew and what your mom is going through that you just dived on the poor girl. So I think if you also gave some backstory, that would allow her to have some compassion for what took place. Now, again, let me say this. That does not mean she's going to say, okay, girl, you was mad at the time. Let's go back to being besties. That can or cannot happen. I'm praying it does, right? But I really think that you guys need some healing in order for that to happen. And healing only happens through transparency. So you have to come and offer an honest explanation about why you did what you did. And if the honesty of it is that you genuinely felt like she had no business taking your mother's Ozempic, like she stole it out your mother's pocketbook, then we are dealing with a deeper situation, my dear. Because her being on Ozempic is for her own reasons, very, very, very much separate from what your mom is going through. right? Do I understand the argument that you're trying to make? 100%. I can see where your frustrations come from, but I also feel like that's misdirected anger. That's misdirected anger. Maybe your issue is with your mom's doctor. Maybe your issue is with the pharmaceutical company. I don't know. But your issue can't be directly with her because she's only doing what maybe the doctor prescribed or what's best for her. And that's not fair for me to not do what's best for me. The same way how you want your mom to live, she wants to live as well. Right? So again, like I said, I think that you have to come to her honest. Like, listen, I know I wilded out, but let me give you the backstory about what took me there. Right? And I think once you go and once you apologize, at that point you just let it go. You let it go. Because it's hard for a person to offer something to you and then hover over you to accept it. If you know what I mean. So you know how somebody has wronged you and then they say, I'm sorry. And then it's like, I'm coming over there tomorrow. And you might feel like, although you did it and although you apologize for it, I'm not ready to see you. And the person is looking at you like, excuse me, but I said I'm sorry. We're past that. That can always cause further issues. So my thing is, if and when you apologize and you offer the explanation, afterwards, you have to let it go. You have to let it go and you have to proceed after, because now the ball is in her court, so you have to proceed after she makes a move, right? And again, that move could be, I'm done with you. I didn't like this. I'm not effing with you no more. Or that move could be, okay, let's move forward. I love you and I understand, right? And let me also say this about what I just said about the I love you piece. She could also love you and still not fuck with you. Like that can happen as well, right? And all of these things are a consequence of your actions, and you have to be very much aware of your actions because you don't want to go around being that person to the rest of the world because of some of the stuff you have going on. You know, which is why I do Operation Heal 100 Hearts one-on-one sessions, which is why I do Dear Deidre letters. Because if you were in an Operation Heal 100 Hearts session, we would be having more conversation about some of that deep-rooted anger and trauma that you're experiencing that made you kind of lash out on your friend. And to that degree where you knocked her tooth out. I won't lie to you, that's a tad bit extreme, if I'm being honest, right? But I am very much aware that you are in a very, very critical stage in your life, and transitioning through this is the make and break of who you are, right? No one can force you to be strong. No one can tell you to be strong. No one can make you be strong. Having strength and standing 10 toes down in a situation and not folding has to be contingent upon who you are, right? And what it sounds like is your mother is one of the strongest women in the world, right? Because she's standing 10 toes down in her disease and she's fighting her way through. I think she needs you to be that same woman. I think she needs you to be that same woman. Okay? And I think that it just because you had a moment of weakness with your friend doesn't mean that you're a weak person. But if you continue to have those moments, then it will definitely point to that's what the reason is. So I think that even in this moment of weakness, you could turn this into a positive. You can be a better person and things can change, right? But that has to be what you want and it has to be who you are. Okay, and once again, if we were in an Operation Heal 100 Heart session, a one-on-one session, we would be having conversation about who you really are, you know, and what's really doable for you, you know, how you deal with pain, how you deal with trauma, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, all of this is about you, even what your mom is growing through. It has something to do with who you are. It gives you the opportunity to be everything to your mother that all your life she has been to and for you. Who wouldn't want to do that? I'm pretty sure you would. Okay, so I think that there is ways to kind of push forward with your friend, and that's some of the feedback I have about trying to do so. Number one on the list is you need to work on some of your inner trauma and your anger and your feelings regarding your mother's illness and what's taking place at the moment. Two is I think you owe that young lady an apology. I think you owe that young lady an apology, and I think you owe her a sincere one. Because that's another thing. When folks say to you, you need to say sorry. If that's not what you feel in your heart, when you go and you share your apology, it's disingenuous. The other person can feel it's disingenuous. It shows up on you as disingenuous, and it's just an all-out shit show, right? So I think if I'm telling you that you need to apologize, but that's not how you feel in your heart, that's not going to work for you. But if you feel it in your heart that that's what you need to do it sincere. Hold on. Sorry, guys. No, you can do it sincerely. I mean, you should do it sincerely. You should do it sincerely because, again, when you're coming with something that doesn't feel real and you know it's not real, the connection will be missed. So you won't walk out of there feeling like, oh my goodness, I got my friend back. This is the greatest thing in the world. You will be looking at it like, I did what they told me to do. It should be looking at you like, that bitch is fucking phony. I'm done with her ass. You know what I'm saying? So you want to walk out of there if that's the expectation with, I came in here to be very, very honest and sincere with you about what took place on my end. Hopefully you will absorb that, right? So, that's one, you need to apologize. You need to also apologize with some of the backstory. You have to apologize with some of the backstory. I would suggest that you apologize with all of the backstory, but I don't think that you can if you have not addressed your trauma, your pain, your hurt, and your anger surrounding your mom's illness. So we need to start there. We need to start there. Okay? I'm holding this friendship up in high regard and in prayer. You didn't tell me how long you guys were friends. You didn't give me any other reason that would suggest you should punch her in the face other than her taking the Ozempic that probably was prescribed for her, and that you took personal because your mom needs Ozempic. So I think that you guys can push forward. I'm just a little nervous because it got physical. Her tooth was extracted. She's Krishan Rock now. I don't like. That's a lot, right? But it's never too much for something that's real. And if this is a real friendship that's rooted in love and compassion and support, and that's meant to be a staple in your life, then however it will go, God will make sure that it moves forward. Okay, so I hope I helped out. I helped out. Let me be clear and say this again. I want to send all of the prayers and love and support, not only to your mom, but your entire family. I'm praying for a speedy recovery. I'm praying she gets everything she needs and she has an abundance of healthy more years ahead of her. I hope and pray that things get better on her end. I hope and pray that your spirits get lifted. I hope and pray that you come for a healing heart session so we can kind of work through some of this trauma surrounding the situation. And I hope and pray that the friendship can be repaired between you and your friend. Alrighty. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm here. Okay. Make sure you go subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you drop in the comments and give your feedback. Thank you guys again, and happy Monday.